So, I'll be teaching you a little bit of the things I know in the jungle. Bans don't really matter as long as you're banning your own lane. I think it's fine to pick whoever you don't like playing against. Right now, I just banned meta, and right now, Karthus jungle is meta, which is hilarious, but you know, it happens. But since you're trying to learn G, I would ban someone like Jax. Even with experience, you can beat up Jax if you time your stuff correctly, but that, again, it takes time and experience of E to be able to do that well. I'm gonna show you the runes I take. I usually take Conquer, Triumph, Alacrity, Coup de Grace, but now I've seen people take Triumph, Bloodline, Coup de Grace, because you can just Coup de Grace gives you about gain 3 attack speed plus an additional 1.5 for every legend stack. So that would give you around 20 attack speed by the time you're done. This gives you 10 straight up attack speed. I honestly don't know what's better. The meta changed after they buffed this, but I like going Alacrity. You can go Bloodline. And for my secondary tree, I usually went Nimbus Cloak, Water Walking. Water Walking helps you when you're in the river taking Scuttle because it gives you more AD and AP so you can deal with them more. And you can also actually skirmish in there better if you have Water Walking. So, honestly, well, there's my build. I mean, there's my my room page. If you want to copy it, you can if you want. But with Master Yi, it's all about timing, how you time your Q, how you use your Q. Your W can also be used for damage, surprisingly. You can cancel your auto attack, but that's more advanced and you'll learn it as you go on. And stuff. But there's a lot of, well, like, there isn't much depth to Yi, but there's enough that a new player can play him, you know? So, like, we look at the enemy team, right? They have an Ornn. Ornn has a lot of CC. Really good team fighting. A ultimate that covers a whole entire lane and can win a team fight by itself. So he's immediately a threat to us. We do not want to get stuck with this guy. Unless if we know we can kill him and dodge his stuff. Wukong, tons of CC again, except that he can assassinate people. They can assassinate people with CC with his ultimate. And he can jump and he can act like, you know, he's standing still. It's his little decoy. Let me lower the volume real quick, just so you can hear me. But basically, yeah, Wukong is problematic. Vladimir can go under his pool and survive. You're engaged, so he's a little tough. Lucian has a lot of mobility for an ADC, and Janna has a ton of peel for all of them. So what we can see from their team fight, like from their team, is that they have a lot of team fight, and basically the goal is to pick them off during the team fight because who we have are Tryndamere, me, Master Yi, Yasuo, Jinx, and Tahm Kench. The only real tank we have is Tahm Kench. So Tahm Kench would have to get a really... Tahm Kench can't really engage, but he needs to get a really nice... He needs to pick up other people, basically. He needs to understand that other people might miss position, and he needs to pick up on that and basically deal with them really quickly. But that's just like going over the champions and stuff, which comes in time. I can't right now. I can't. I'm helping my friend. The game is gonna end in like 20 minutes. It's whatever. No, I won't. Damn. Like basically the normal jungling path, if you're starting blue side, would be blue, and then you'd go to Scuttle. Oh, you'd go to Scuttle. You'd go to Scuttle, and then you'd go to your red. And if you do end up fighting someone while you're there, you can always meet them up. I don't know what this Yasuo's doing. That Yasuo's doing something way too crazy. Let's see. Like, I mean, the Yasuo's nuttiness, I guess, kind of paid off. With like him wanting to really kill Wukong. Which is okay. And the basic way that you want to clear is just blue, blue Scuttle red, or it depends on the champion, but like for me it'd be blue Scuttle red, or red Scuttle blue. It depends how you're feeling that game. If you see that they're really weak, I'd go red Scuttle blue, but that's just me. But it depends if their team comp is really squishy, which their team comp is kind of squishy. So I kind of made a mistake there. Because I could have went red Scuttle, right? But then that fight would have never happened because I never went blue Scuttle. So it just depends where you are on the map. So right now I can guess that he's in red buff. You wanna know how I can guess he's in red buff right now? Because we just took his blue buff, and, well, this is blue buff, and we just took his Gromp. So that means that that side of the map for him is basically worthless, and I was correct. He was at his blue buff. Saw how he just ganked Yasuo. He was at his red buff. He went from his red buff to gank Yasuo, which, you know, it was a good try, fair try, but Yasuo survived. He took his Scuttle. Okay, we can meet him since we have red buff, he doesn't. We can meet him, we can probably steal his red buff. If he didn't take it already, which is fine. We can now back. I think he might have went... Actually, I think he took his red buff first. Yeah, he probably did. So I'm completely wrong. Ignore me. But, usually, if the red buff is up, the jungler will go for it, and if he doesn't, then he's probably near one of your lanes, which is fine, because as Master Yi, your counter gank is usually stronger than most people, even though he doesn't have CC. Counter ganking is like ganking when they already ganked, so like, usually the enemy team would have already wasted a bunch of movement abilities, and it would have been zero-shed up, if Lucian was to get counter ganked, right, or was to get ganked, he would already be pushed up around here, because they pushed my teammates up, or they killed him, right? So that would be a free double kill for me. By the way, getting a double kill is huge. You can single-handedly carry the game also by control wards, by a lot of control wards. It's huge if you have that. Like, it's huge if you have a double kill as Master Yi because you can snowball into an insane late game and insane mid game. Honestly, Master Yi is probably one of the best scaling champions in the game. All you really need to do is just either, if you're falling behind early game, right, just farm up and stuff and get your Borg, Winsus, whatever you're building, and then try and get into a fight. Make sure that you're at least healthy enough to fight, because if you aren't healthy enough to fight, your Q won't save you at all. Because your Q doesn't make you unstoppable, it makes you untargetable. So you can still die from I mean, well, it makes you untargetable, but it doesn't make you unstoppable. So like, if a Veigar ults you, which is usually an insta-kill, while you're starting up your Alpha Strike, right? It will still go through and kill you if you're that low. Oh, and I just saw Kong right there. So that means that that part isn't really a good spot to be. You can also use, I guess I should explain the Q and stuff. Like, you can use your Q to avoid damage, but only if you time it really, really, really well. It requires timing, and it requires the understanding of champions. Basically what I explained to you in the Discord. Chat. It takes time to learn what they do, basically. But I'll just keep on going with Master Yi and how he works. Basically, you want to make sure that your W is kind of like the survivability thing. Not like your last hope, or whatever. Yeah, like your last hope. But also use it to engage into fights in general. Because you can survive a lot with your Q. I don't think you yeah, you just saw it there. I used my Q to jump on him since he wasted his only ability to like actually live. Since he wasted his only ability to live, I could just abuse that and well, jump on him, and he couldn't do anything. Your W heals you, so if you're low while fighting someone or something, you could just sit there and delay them and wait out your cooldowns, so you can actually fight them and wait for you to Alpha Strike. Also, before you start a fight, usually you want to use your E because it gives you true damage. And true damage is damage that can't be stopped, basically. Like, no type of defense will stop true damage. True damage is true damage. It's called true damage for a reason. Let's see, this is what we call an easy double kill. I think that was a pretty bad way to engage. Yeah, that was pretty bad. I used my ultimate too soon. So, but I still saved Tahm Kench, so that was worth it. Because not giving him a kill, I think that missed. Yeah. Even though I didn't get a kill, I saved Tahm Kench, and that's pretty good. You don't need to get a kill as a jungler, because you scale. Junglers naturally scale. Unless you're playing someone like Lee Sin, who doesn't really scale. But like, I'll show you how I use my W here. See how much less damage I take with my W on, and look how much more damage I take with my W off. See, it also reduces damage. So while you're in a fight with someone who does quite a bit of damage, or you're under tower and you need to survive a little bit of tower damage to be able to throw out your Q and, you know, win the fight. it's worth it. You have to, basically, or else you might die. And top lane isn't very gankable. I guess I'll talk about matchups in a bit, but matchups are a different thing to go on about. And different beast, if you ask me, that could be a completely separate video. But I'll just go over matchups very lightly in this one. Weekly, so in bot lane, the matchup, Jinx loses it early, but later on she wins the game really hard for us. Because, well, it's Jinx. And Jinx does win really hard, really quickly. Oh my god, I almost survived that. Crap. Gosh darn it. That's unfortunate. It's okay. So there I showed you an example of me using my Q to survive tower damage, which is a really good way to use your Q. And it's really worth it if you can pull it off, because I just got a free double kill. Yeah, it was a little sloppy. I thought I could have killed Lucian faster, but it happens. And I'm not the best E in the world. But that shows you the power of your Q, that you can just survive under tower and stuff. And it was just a little unfortunate that Wukong was there to counter gank and, you know, steal my bounty, which is okay, because it happens. He is power farming, but Wukong falls off really hard. Wukong used to be a really good character, but now he's, to me, pretty mediocre. Like, you can play anyone into him and win. So, don't really worry about Wukong that much, unless if there's like a Wukong one trick on the heavy team that actually knows what they're doing. But yeah, don't really worry about it. Anyways, for your skill order, I'd go Q, E, R, W. Oh no, obviously max your R when you can. But it's just Q, E, W. You don't really max W that much, because W isn't really a good ability. I mean, well, W is a great ability. What am I saying? But W isn't a good fighting ability. As Master, you do want to fight and win skirmishes, because if you don't win the skirmishes, you're likely useless in the game. That is really unfortunate. You're really useless in the game sometimes. Kind of like Yasuo when he feeds. I'm pretty sure you've seen a feeding Yasuo every now and then. But, you know, it's kind of like when a Yasuo feeds, he isn't very useful, but eventually he will become useful. Right. I don't even know what I was talking about. So, a little bit about the dragons. Your bot lane might bother you to take the dragon, but don't let them pressure you to take the dragon immediately. You really want to... This goes for top lane as well for Rift Herald. Rift Herald is a great objective to take if you can. You want to deal with their bot lane first before you go for the dragon, because then you could completely lose dragon and stuff. And your bot lane also dies, and that is never the thing you want to do. You really want to take your time while taking dragons. Of course, if they force it and they're really low, you can go in and get an easy triple or double kill. But with your Q. But it'll be a little difficult to. This also is fine. Don't even take his skills. But just to wait, basically, before taking him. You're taking dragon. Deal with your bot lane first. If your bot lane's ungankable, that's okay. Just let dragon go until, you know, if there's an Infernal Drake, it's okay to let go one Infernal Drake, but don't don't let go 2, because letting go 2 really causes some issues, and you know, becomes problematic sometimes, which is fine, because you can still win even if they have 3 Infernal Drakes, or or God forbid 2 Infernal Drakes and 1 Mountain Drake. Mountain Drakes are really worth it because they do true damage to objectives. Objectives are like Baron, Rift Herald, Dragon, and turrets, usually. And then they will add more, or, you know, take out some, because it's Riot. They surrendered. But, that was a brief explanation, basically. Hopefully it helped a little bit. If you have any questions, just ask me. I'll make another video on that. But that's just like how I play jungle. How I think. Like if the enemy team is like pushed up a lot, I'll take out a map real quick. I'll just use this map. I'll just wherever it is. Let me go to my match history. So let's just use this map. If right here is like a Yasuo player, right, and he's really pushed up and I'm right here, I can tell my top laner to sit under tower and just wait for me to get near here. He can go in, and then suddenly Yasuo doesn't really have room to move and he dies. But that's usually how you want to find ganks, and you know how you want to gank lanes. But sometimes it's better to just straight up just gank the lane. Even if it's doing nothing, it's still applying pressure to the lane. So that's putting pressure on them to do something quickly about you. But that might also prompt them to ward more. But you can always control ward it. I didn't really use a control ward that game. I don't know why, but it happens. But you know, that's basically my explanation. So I hope it helped.